afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hing Chao. I don't know if you have a similar experience. When I travel, when I go to places like United States, America, Canada, Europe, I oftentimes have to fill in the immigration form. And one of the things I always have an issue struggling with, what to fill in, is my occupation. What is it that I do? Sometimes I teach at university. It's a part-time job that I do at PolyU. I'm starting a new teaching position at Hong Kong U in the near future. I write, I publish, hardly make any money out of it. I produce cultural events. As the MC kindly introduced, I've done the Hong Kong International Film Festival. I've done smaller scale festivals in China and have further festival plans in store for Hong Kong. I curate exhibitions, I curate seminars. So all of these I do, but that is my occupation. Sometimes, perforce, I feel maybe I'll just put down the businessman, which hardly sums up what I do. For all the various endeavors I'm involved with, they basically come down to two very simple things in my mind. Working with ethnic minorities in Mongolia, northern China and Siberia, northern Asia at large, and working to preserve their heritage and revitalize martial arts in Hong Kong and in China. For most people in Hong Kong, this is rather unusual. How do you actually make the money? How do you actually create a career for yourself or for the people that work with me doing these two things? The answer to that is very hard. The answer to that is very hard. And it's particularly not transparent or obvious how one can do things like working with ethnic minorities in China, buying culture with a few hundreds, a few thousand people at large, but even fewer people who still can speak the language, who can still continue their old practices, such as hunting, such as herding, such as all the various practices that have come to a stop for various reasons over the past decades. How do you revitalize a dying culture? So that, I suppose, for most people, is pretty weird. Kung Fu, for most people in Hong Kong and beyond, it's more obvious. It's something that, you know, all of us can relate to some degree, but at the same time, no, back. But at the same time, how many of us have considered the fact that martial arts today is not what martial arts in Hong Kong used to be 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and further back into the past? The truth of the matter is, even though martial arts exists as a very important cultural symbol, even though it's something that lives very strongly in the heart, I think, of every Chinese person, and indeed with resonances around the world, the reality of martial arts is that it's vanishing. I've spoken to a lot of people about it. This is the way it is. Martial arts and other traditional practices, traditional culture, are gradually disappearing from Hong Kong, because society has changed, because the times have changed. What can we do to stand aside? And more importantly, why is it that someone like me, who have not gone to the martial arts family and certainly not related in any way to people living in Mongolia, how did I begin my path? Next slide, please. Maybe I can throw back a question at you. Do you dream? I mean, literally, do you dream? Dreaming for us, even as a matter of talking, of discourse, has become synonymous with, you know, daydreaming, think about something not useful, not practical, not connected to who we are or what we do. But for the most time, in tribal society throughout the world, and remember, looking back in human history, for 90% of human history and longer, we lived in small tribes, in hunter-gatherer societies, where dreaming played a very significant role. When people are lost, when they do not know where to go, when they could not find their loved ones, when they are at a critical moment, they will go to ritual specialists, such as shamans, whose special gift is to dream, is to think of the impossible, is to find ways where logic and the modus operandum of how we usually think does not actually provide any answers. We have to try to think outside the box. Example of that is a very important figure in American history, which very few people know about. His name is Crazy Horse. Crazy Horse was one of the greatest warriors, greatest leaders that America had produced. And Crazy Horse also was a leader of the Lakota Sioux Indians who fought America in the Western Plains. It's one of the last wars that America had internally within America. And Crazy Horse has this ability to dream. Before a battle, Crazy Horse would develop visions of the outcome of the battle, where it's going to be, and how it will end. Crazy Horse also dreamed of how his own life and his own people will develop over the course of time. Now, this ability to dream is what shapes society. Not only for tribal society, but this ability has continued through time in different form. For those of you who like to go to plays, operas, orchestras, now, if you go to a typical stage, the stage, it's there's a stage for performance, and then you have an orchestra below, which is dug out just in a plot of, in a space just in front of the main performance stage. Now, this was an invention by a very important creator, artist, called Richard Wagner in the 19th century. Now, Wagner himself was a very good student of German mythology, but he's also a dreamer. Think about all the things that you study at school, the things which have been established as convention in literature, Shakespeare. When we talk about music, Sebastian Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, all these people, back in their time, they were radicals. They were not conventional. They did not follow rules, but they made their own rules. And it's the ability to think outside the box. It's the ability to not walk where other people have walked, but make your own path. That creates society, that creates history. When I was your age, when I was a student, I too did not know how to dream. And I didn't have any ideas of my own of what I wanted to do. Now, my first moment of dreaming happened in 2001 when I traveled in Mongolia, when I started spending time with tribal peoples of the Northern Forest. Most of you will probably have not heard of this group of people. They're called the Ototen. The Ototen are the 5th smallest ethnic minority group in China. In the past, their ancestors were hunters and gatherers, pursuing a nomadic life in the entire northern forest of Heilongjiang and in Mongolia. And when I saw the Ototen, and when I visited their forest, and when I met them for the first time in 2001, I was staggered. I mean, I mentally couldn't grasp how it was possible for people to live outside cities, how people could be nomadic hunters living in such primitive conditions. But having spent time with Ototen, I suddenly realized that what we take as normality, what we think must be, is only one of multiple ways. And as many different ecosystems there are in the world, there are different possibilities of how to live, of how to produce, of how to be. In my short sojourn in 2001 with the Ototen, I also saw something that touched me very profoundly. I spent a lot of time with old people. I was there for about 2 to 3 weeks, and they shared with me unstintingly their their songs, their traditions, their history, none of which was recorded, none of it was written, but it's all there, inside the memories. And they said to me at the end of it, all of that we told you about, it's going to be gone. My children no longer know it, and my grandchildren most likely won't even be able to know how our ancestors used to live, how we used to be. So from that moment onwards, the elder lady planted in me the seed of dreaming. Dreaming how me as an outsider, invited to be a part of the community, part of the family, can contribute in small measures to make a difference, to make the impossible possible. How to reverse the tide of history, how to make them survive, how to bring traditions which are dying or have become dead to become part of the living tradition once again. So inspired by this, back to Hong Kong, I started applying the same philosophy, the same thinking to different things that I saw around me. Since a child, I was an athlete, martial artist, and I asked myself, why is it that the best martial arts actor we have today in Hong Kong, that was 10 years ago, still Don Yen, he's no longer young, approaching 50, why are there no new action stars being born in Hong Kong, the capital of Kung Fu film cinema? And I came to the decision that it's because martial arts have become fragmented, has become divorced from the rest of society. Kung Fu cinema has gone down one track. The martial arts development as an art form, as a heritage, has been marginalized by modernization, by challenge by modern MMA, karate, taekwondo, Muay Thai, all those things. And martial arts, film, community, they are all becoming fragmented. So I had this dream. I had this dream to do something different. I had this dream to create a new platform where film stars, people from Shaolin Temple, artists, martial arts experts, professional athletes, different stakeholders can all meet together in a single platform and engage each other. And through engagement, they will inspire, and through inspiration, together, they will make something that's fading away come back once again. So in 2009, I created Hong Kong's first international Kung Fu festival, which was a success. We attracted a lot of media attention. We attracted a lot of overseas visitors to come to Hong Kong, especially to attend the event. After that, I thought I would dream bigger. I would dream about how we could create a center for martial arts learning. So under the revitalization of historical building scheme, I applied to the Hong Kong government, I applied to the Development Bureau to make use of the very famous Blue House building and convert that on the principle of heritage conservation, on the principle of working very closely with the local community, but also to bring back aspects of martial art, deeply embedded within the history of the building, to come back. I thought I was going to walk the scheme because I was so convinced that what we have in store is appropriate and of the fact that it's something that Hong Kong really needed at the time. However, the reality was quite different. The reality of it is that the Development Bureau awarded the scheme to someone else. And much as I tried, we did not have a second Hong Kong International Kung Fu Festival because the burden of fundraising, the amount of work that goes into liaising with athletes over 20 to 30 countries, it's an enormous task. And at that time, at that moment in time, around 2010, I felt I've come to an impasse, I've come to a stage where my work simply couldn't go on. This is a stage where dream is really, in a literal sense, having a reality check. So what did I do? I said, if people are not listening to me, perhaps it's because within their mind, within their concept, they have an idea of something that I talk about. What I talk about and what they think about are two different things. They couldn't understand. So I started to publish journals. I established world's first academic research journal for Chinese martial studies. I started organizing a lot of seminars. in collaboration with different venues in Hong Kong. And I started doing a lot more engagement with various martial arts styles to work together to do concrete research, because it's a race against time whenever we talk about cultural preservation. People are the carriers of tradition, and when each person, when each out of 10 hunter, when each martial arts master, he or she passes away, we lose something that we cannot recapture. So I said, since I've set up myself along this path of cultural preservation, the most important thing is people. And even though I may not get the support of wider society, even I may not get the support of the public or the government, I will do what is in my ability to do. And that is working with these masters to document their history, document their knowledge, and publish. And then the moment of breakthrough really happened to me in late 2012, when my work to promote martial arts and promote traditional culture caught the attention of Ming Pao Weekly. Together with Ming Pao Weekly, we started publishing a series of articles and feature stories on Hong Kong martial arts between early 2013 to the beginning of 2014. Altogether, 12 issues over a whole year. And then we wrote and published the first introductory book to the history and development of Chinese martial arts, which became an instant bestseller. In fact, it was sold out within the first 3 to 4 months of its publication. It was launched last year at the Hong Kong Book Fair, and now it's gone. Now we're going to the second edition. And something amazing at the same time. Universities, government started coming to me rather than me going to them. They said, what you're doing here is very valuable. Can we work together to do something? So I was invited to give talks, PolyU, Hong Kong U, Baptist now. And there are 5 universities that we are now engaged with in one capacity or another for heritage conservation and research in Hong Kong. So I think the moral of that, if I can put it as such, is that it's important to have a dream. It's important to think, to dream the impossible. But to make it happen, you will go through, indeed, one step at a time, but you will, at times, find it very, very difficult to go on. You'll find it difficult when you're just hitting against a wall constantly. But it's at moments like this, you must not give up. You must just buckle down and look at what's in front of you, what you can do within your limited time, your limited ability, and just focus. And if you can do that, things will happen. Another miracle happened. In 2012, City University of Hong Kong, we got into touch, and they said they will be very interested to work with us to apply the best cutting-edge motion capture and digital technology to document and create the world's first ever martial arts digital archive. We're now talking to LCSC of Hong Kong government, doing the Hong Kong martial arts general survey. I'm working with artists to document all these masters one by one. So I think dream, after all, can happen if you dare to dream, if you dare to apply your everyday life to the dedication of realizing your dream. Thank you.